So let's go ahead and take a look. So let's go ahead and take a look at why people don't take Christians seriously. This video is a perfect example on what I've been talking about actually for decades when it comes to, well, you'll see.
Science believes that we got here through the Big Bang Theory, right?
First of all, science doesn't believe anything. Science is a way to basically look at facts and data. You have a scientific method where you do things, you do studies and tests to see what information you get, and then you can come up with a theory that supports it. So there are a lot of theories on where the universe came from, but science doesn't actually believe anything.
That's probably what you believe. If you're not a believer, if you're an atheist, if you're an agnostic, or if you just don't believe in God, you're probably most likely thinking, "Oh, well, yeah, the Big Bang Theory, obviously."
And here's another issue too, saying that if you're an atheist, if you don't believe in God, then probably you believe in the Big Bang Theory type of thing, which is absolutely ridiculous. Now, I believe in closer to something like the Big Bang than what the Bible actually says, because that's what the data supports. And when you're able to come up with a premise like the Big Bang Theory and be able to predict what you're going to find in data by these scanning the universe and the background noise, all of that stuff, and you could see it, well then there's a good chance that that's what happened. As far as when the evidence supports the idea and it continues to support it.
Kara, that's science. Guess what? Did you know the Big Bang Theory was concocted by a Catholic priest?
Yeah, he was a Catholic priest and a physicist, and he was so concerned with the information he found behind the Big Bang Theory that he actually said that he wanted them to be two completely different things. You're going to have your religious beliefs, and then you're going to have scientific beliefs, but they don't come together. And he was actually concerned that because he was able to find so much information supporting it, just like the gentleman who developed the theory of evolution. He was I think he was Catholic or Orthodox. And he was concerned that what he found scientifically, as far as what supported the actual scientific data, did not coincide with the Bible. So just because someone has a belief, like I have a belief, I'm a former exorcist and all sorts of stuff. I got a background that's pretty heavy duty, but I don't actually believe the Bible over what we see scientifically, and I do actually keep them separate because scientifically we do have a lot of stuff that proves the Bible wrong, especially if you want to go back to Genesis and everything, the development and the creation of the universe. It seems like it's philosophical and not supposed to be taken literally. But anyways, let's see what else she has here.
So, because if you think about what the Big Bang Theory is and what it proposes, it actually goes against scientific law. So, everybody knows that energy.
All right, so it's so funny that we're looking at things scientifically where it leads us to, and where it leads us to as far as the scientific data, she's saying goes against scientific law. Let's see.
Can neither be created nor destroyed. What is the premise of the Big Bang Theory? The premise of the Big Bang Theory is
Let's go back. I'm
scientific
sorry.
law. So everybody knows that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. What is the
Oh,
premise of the
no,
Big
that's not true.
Bang
So
Theory?
there's
The
a
premise of the Big Bang
big misconception that people believe that energy cannot be created nor destroyed, that it only changes form. And that's not true. It's kind of like a myth. It has to do with only a very specific part of physics. But you know how we use over 100% of our brain? And that's crazy. How could we use over 100%? Our brain is only a certain size, but we're capable of so much. And during brain scans or SPECT scans, any of that stuff, they see our whole brain is moving, working at all times. And what it is it's basically a myth that's super old that started basically in a TV show that we only use a certain amount of our brain, like 10%. And people actually believe this is true. They say science, and that was never been the case. So that's another problem that we're dealing with here. Someone making a claim about something that's simply not true. There's nothing scientifically to support what she's saying.
Theory is that there was nothing, and then all of a sudden, in a spontaneous combustion, and then all of a sudden, in a spontaneous combustion, and then all of a sudden, in a spontaneous combustion,
Happens to me too.
and then all of a sudden, in a spontaneous combustion, there was the ingredients of everything in the.
Now I'm gonna do it because she did it. Now I'm gonna avoid the word just because I heard that happen and I know it's gonna happen to me and trip me up. Um, that's not what the Big Bang Theory is. And this is a misconception that was created by very religious Christians, not biblical Christians, religious Christians. You have the belief system of the Bible and a relationship with God, and then on the opposite, you have religion. That gets in the way of that. And with religion comes ignorance, like what she just said. There's never a belief that before the Big Bang there is nothing. That doesn't support it at all. But within these churches, they tell kids this. They're actually raised believing that there was absolutely nothing, and then boom, there was something. And they're told that that's what the Big Bang is. But there are a lot of theories on stuff that was here before the Big Bang. There's a lot of theories as far as the other dimensions that control this dimension and the quantum fluctuation that has led to material within this universe. There's all sorts of theories that are pretty backed up pretty well by what we know and what we see and what they're able to predict in nature and in the stars and everything, support the idea that there's multiple universes. So yeah, there's a good chance it's always been this way. I mean, even if you're a Christian, you believe God always was. So what's wrong with thinking as far as there's other people who are not Christians who believe there's something that's always was that creates this stuff? The quantum realm always existing before and simultaneously and all this stuff, as far as when you look at time and space and everything, yeah, it's pretty reasonable. But yeah, this is not something that people believe. Again, you go off as a Christian saying stuff like this, looking at someone saying, haha, well, and you say something ignorant that they don't believe, they'll be like, yeah, no crap. Who would believe that? You know? So again, it's a very bad place to come from.
Entire world.
Then she laughs at how
So,
stupid it
how
is.
does that make any sense? To go from nothing, no energy, to infinite energy.
Exactly. And as a Christian, when you think about this, is who would think that? And use your critical thinking skills and realize, oh, that's not what they believe. I'm the one who's creating this very ignorant narrative and pushing this thing that's just not the case that they believe. And it's like when you get into politics, both sides laugh at each other and make up things the other side actually doesn't really believe. So when you base your argument against someone on things you're making up that has nothing to do with them, and then you come at them like, ha ha ha, not I'm right, but I'm right and you're wrong because these beliefs are wrong. But those are your beliefs you made up. You're just set to fail, and it just makes religious people look super bad. People will think that because someone claims they're Christian, which this person isn't, but they think they are. Once you believe that that person is a Christian, you start thinking Christianity is wrong. And that's why this religiousness, these Christians, really make us all look bad.
That actually goes against science. So, if that.
And it was just so random. Just actively go against science. She's using science just so generally, with clearly not even knowing what it is or what it means.
That's to be true, that means there would have to be a creator at time of. So if that were to be true, that would mean there would have to be a creator at time.
Yes, and they do believe it was
So if
created.
that were to be true, that would mean that there would have to be a creator outside of time and space.
Right. Which is why they believe the Big Bang happened, is that there's some type of thing that created it. Just because something's created doesn't mean it was an intelligent God. And again, this is what happens when you step outside of the Bible and you try and just make up basically your own belief that is this Christianese, very watered down thing that churches and humans are making up as they go along with pure ignorance. They don't know the scientific side they're trying to prove wrong. They don't even know what their own Bible says.
Okay, connecting the dots. God, which also, if you think about,
Another issue is you just said connecting the dots when you had no dots. You had false premises that you created, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, this is God. Okay, but God what? It does not mean it is your God. It does not mean it is an actual thinking, functioning God that is, what do you call that, conscious like we are. It just means it was created, and you're saying that because it's created, you're calling that thing God without anything to support that it's your God.
story of Genesis, and if you think about the order of creation, what is the first thing that he says that he creates? And then there will be light. What is the first thing created in the universe?
Not and then there will be light. I'm thinking let there be light. And when you look at let there be light, it's interesting because he didn't say we're going to create light. He says let there be light. So it seems like light already existed and something happened in order for it to shine through, which is something I'm not going to get into. But yeah, it looks like light was already in existence and somehow he allowed it to start going through.
Universe, stars. Science believes that we got here through the Big Bang Theory, right? That's
Oh, that
probably
was
what you.
it. All right, so stars. But this was based on absolutely nothing. But this person, and this is an adult, you got to understand, this is an adult, and at that age has no idea on anything, either side, her own belief system, their own belief system, and she's got a ton of people watching her stuff. And again, this comes down to this. We have people who are very attracted. You have a girl like this who's a 9.0, maybe 9.5, a 9.0 at least. And because of that, she's getting people who are telling her she's beautiful, they're agreeing with her, and that destroys people psychologically. And this is what we're taking in, where everyone has a platform where they're just making crap up. They're making crap up. They have no idea what they're talking about. And this has led to not us just being pro ignorance, but anti fact, anti knowledge. And this is what's it's a problem around this whole planet right now. And this is what happens when parents fail their children. This is what happens when they have access to screen time at a very young age in life. This is what happens when we no longer have an educational system where when you graduate, you have what's equivalent to a sixth or seventh grade education. This is what happens. We need to take this seriously, especially when it comes to different belief systems and understand it's something that needs to be worked on, especially with the youth, because this generation is practically all gone, all lost. With an IQ ranging in the low 90s, what are we going to do to recover? We can't let this happen to the generation after them because once everyone's just making everything up and we're so anti knowledge and we don't find any importance in any type of education or any type of actual discussion, any type of discovery, I mean, what's left? What's the point of anything anymore? Anyways, I thought that the video was a good example of the stuff I talk about. Thanks for watching.